Hey folks, we're sponsored today by Audible. Get a free audiobook download at audiblepodcast.com/WTFpod. And we're also sponsored by Hulu Plus. Watch your favorite current TV shows like Saturday Night Live or Parks and Rec or Community. Or watch a brand new show that you've never seen before like the Hulu original, The Awesomes, starring Seth Meyers. For only $7.99 a month, you can stream as many TV shows and movies as you want, wherever you want. Right now, you can try Hulu Plus free for 2 weeks when you get to huluplus.com/WTF. I am sorry I'm laughing, but to say Hulu Plus is one of the hardest things that I can even wrap my mouth around. Make sure you use huluplus.com/WTF so you get the extended free trial and they know we sent you. Okay, Hulu Plus. Boy, that's a real challenge to my L's and my S's. All right, let's get on with the show.
Lock the gate!
All right, let's do this. How are you, what the fuckers, what the fuck buddies, what the fuckineers, what the fucknicks, what the fuckstables, what the fuckaholics, what the fuckleberry thins, what the fuckashuganas. How are you? It is me, it is I, it is Marc Maron. I am the host and generator of this show, WTF. I appreciate you being here. I'm going to be at the Podcast Festival here in Los Angeles this Friday. It runs all weekend. You can go to lapodfest.com. On my podcast, I'm going to have Jimmy Pardo. I'm going to have Paul Gilmartin. I'm going to have Aisha Tyler. I'm going to have Dana Gould. And I'm going to have Dave Anthony. But a lot of podcasters are there. Also, on Sunday, I'm going to be at Public Citizen. That's citizen.org. is doing a stand-up for Main Street thing with me and Alan Havey and Carol Leifer and Greg Fitzsimmons, Betsy Salkind, Ruben Paul. We're going to be doing that at the Writers Guild Theater. That's 6:30, October 6th on Sunday. Just go to www.citizen.org if you want to go to that show. It should be a good show. So what else is going on? I'm feeling a little better. Things are getting a little clearer. Again, I'm not being as transparent as I'd like because, look, folks, I know we're close, but Jesus, I got to keep a few things to myself, don't I? I can't just walk around like a complete open wound all day, can I? I'm just trying to show up for work right now, and everything is okay. I'm having an okay few minutes. Do you understand? I'm not yelling at you, all right? I apologize for that tone. Today, Joey Coco Diaz is on the show today, and it's a pretty big event. You know, a lot of you guys and gals, he added after he realized he was just going to say guys. You know Joey from the Death Squad crew. You know, I know Joey from not too far back, but a little far back. We've had a run in here and there. I think I try to make right on that. He explained some stuff to me about me, and then I let Joey talk because I don't know if you know my history. I mean, of course you do. Of course you do. But the one thing I want to tell you about what's happened to me over the course of WTF is it's sort of special, and I'll explain a little bit about myself as if I'm just introducing myself to you. Oh, by the way, I know a lot of you guys are new listeners, and there's no reason that you should be in the dark about the last 400 episodes or so. If you go to the site or you go to the App Store, you get the WTF app for free, and you upgrade for like $7, $8 to premium, you can stream all 430, whatever it is. A lot of stuff back there. You can also go to WTFpod.com/guide to find out who's been on the show. A lot of great guests have been on this show. I've done a lot of work in this garage. I've broken it in with the pain, joy, struggle of many great thinkers and entertainers. This episode is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to create your own professional website or online portfolio. People are digging this. I get a lot of positive feedback about Squarespace from people who have used it. You can start a free trial right now and get 10% off by going to squarespace.com and use the offer code POW, P-O-W. It's incredibly easy to use. But if you want some help, Squarespace has an amazing support team that works 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. It starts at just $8 a month and includes a free domain name if you sign up for a year. Every design automatically includes a unique mobile experience that matches the overall style of your website. So your content will look great on every device every time. Start a trial with no credit card required and start building your website. And when you sign up, make sure to use the offer code POW, P-O-W, to get 10% off and to show your support for WTF. And I'll tell you what, if you make a Squarespace site and then tweet out the link using the hashtag WTF Squarespace, we'll pick the best 5 and send you a Squarespace swag bag. Huh? How can you resist a swag bag? So go get to work. Make your new site at squarespace.com and use the offer code POW. Squarespace, everything you need to create an exceptional website. A lot of people are liking that. So back to me. Back to this show, Joey Diaz, in just a few minutes. I have a compulsion, attraction, a need to talk to people that seem to have a history. Now, look, everybody's got a history, but I was sort of wired early on by beat-up old guys. Beat-up old guys that used to hang around in my grandfather's appliance store. Used to be a crew of them. Guy named Pete. Pete talked like this. And you have to assume that anybody who talks like this and smokes cigarettes and looks 100 has got a story to tell you. He's been places. He's ridden the rails. He's been beaten up by life, thrown down a few times, and gotten back up and just kicked life's ass. So you got to assume that a guy who talks like this has got something to say. And that guy's voice was wired into my brain. I used to look up to these guys. Now, you know my father was a bit of a nutbag. My father was a very charismatic but ultimately, troubled man. So I am sort of wired to engage with charismatic, troubled people. I think it's a gift if I look at it in the right way, as opposed to a search for a better father. I think it's a gift. But because of that, I was driven towards comedy. I was driven towards people that seemed to have a handle on things. I was driven towards people that had stories and could make sense of the world. I was driven towards that by when I was very young, when we lived in Alaska, our neighbor, her name was Esther. She looked as old as the oldest tree. She used to sit in this large chair in something that I remember as a kind of Asian getup. And she used to smoke cigarettes and talk about the birth of Alaska, about her husband, the indigenous man, but I believe she used the word Eskimo then. I don't even, Inuit. I don't want to offend anybody. But she had stories that seemed that they came from the beginning of time. She gave me and my brother a silver dollar from the 1800s, an illustrious history of self. I think that's all I ever wanted, and I think I have one. I don't know if I would call it illustrious, but it certainly has been somewhat complicated and troubling at times with a lot of ups and downs. But what I'm telling you is when I talk to somebody like Joey Diaz, I'm like, holy shit, this guy's got some stories. I mean, what kind of story do you want to hear? You want to hear a setup that's like, I was in a difficult situation. I tried to figure out what the right thing to do was. I think I made the right choice. I don't know who the fuck wants to hear that story. Maybe a classroom full of 5-year-olds or to 13-year-olds who need to learn something about making good decisions. But, give me the guy that made all the bad decisions. That's the guy I want to hear. Give me the guy that made so many wrong decisions that he was pounded flat by the repercussions of his own heart. When I was in high school and I worked at a bagel restaurant down by the university, crazy people would come in. And I'm not saying that to be condescending. I mean bona fide crazy people. There was this guy named Pete. They used to wear these lace-up boots that went up to his knees with denim shorts and a buttoned leather vest. And he used to sit there and smoke Winchesters in the back corner and drink coffee and draw very important diagrams with a lot of writing around them. Now, when somebody's sitting in that getup, and they're talking to themselves a bit, and they're laughing occasionally, and they're making illustrations with arrows and words that fill up an entire page at every angle, it's a good chance you're dealing with a schizophrenic or a physicist, and I don't think he was a physicist. So I took a liking to Pete, and I sat down with him. He seemed to be obsessed with drawing guns and the head of General Custer. He occasionally mentioned his upbringing in New Jersey. There were bits and fragments on these pieces of paper that were sort of like poems. They were impulsive. They were somewhat troubling. But I took a liking to Pete, not unlike I like the deaf black cat or any of the cats I've collected. I was into stray people as well. Stray people were interesting to me. It's like, well, that guy, he doesn't seem to fit in, but he seems to have figured it out for himself. I think that's the big key there. When I see a crazy guy who's got a certain series of movements that he's clearly using just to keep what little reality he has going in some sort of context, even if only he can understand it. I look at that guy as like, well, he's got something worked out. You know, it involves that weird thing he's doing with his hand and 2 clicks of the head and a few words, but he's got a system in place to move through life. It obviously doesn't include many other people, but you know, it's working for him in this particular moment. And I've seen him 3 days in a row, and he's doing that exact same thing. So I would call that a point of view. What's that guy's point of view? I don't know, a couple of grumbly words, a bit of strange anger. That he mixes up the words there in those 2 hand movements, 2 clicks of the head, and you know, that's his point of view. That's that person's creativity. You can sit and judge from on high, but that guy he might have more shit together than you do. So I took Pete under my wing. Literally, I took him under my wing. I got so fascinated with this schizophrenic that I used to drive him home. I think he was squatting in a large house downtown. He said the state was paying for it, but there was no running water. He was doing he was doing some work on some holes in the walls that involved more diagrams. I took him to my house. I took this guy, Pete, to my house, and I introduced him to my mother as if I said, you know, it was almost as if, Mom, can we keep him? Can we keep him? I don't think, you know, we can just set him up outside. Or maybe in the laundry room we can make him a cot. My mother got to like Pete. She became sort of fascinated with him. But then it went dark. Pete went dark. You know, that's the problem with a point of view that doesn't necessarily have much bearing on reality. You don't know when that's going to spiral off. When the system stops working for the schizophrenic who put it into place, you might not be able to bring that guy in the house anymore. That's all I'm saying. The diagrams got evil. He was asked to leave the restaurant because he was yelling at a woman that he made up. Anyways, Pete had a good story. And I like good stories, and I'm certainly not being, you know, condescending in any way. You want to figure out, you know, for yourself how to have that passion to engage in life in that way. And sometimes that passion to engage in life is having no idea whatsoever and being tossed around a bit. And certainly Joey Diaz has seen his share of stuff. Today we're sponsored by Audible. audiblepodcast.com/WTFpod for a free download. You get there's over like 100,000 audio products there. There's all kinds of stuff. My books are there. There's comedy there. This offer's only good in the U.S. and Canada. Audible Podcast/WTFpod. Let's search schizophrenia. Let's see what we get. Oh, look, it's my friend Pete. Apparently he's written several books. No. How about The Other Brain, From Dementia to Schizophrenia, How New Discoveries About the Brain Are Revolutionizing Medicine and Science. No, I would like to just read a self-help book by a schizophrenic if possible. The Center Cannot Hold. No shit. That's unabridged. That's an unabridged Center Cannot Hold. I don't know what that book is about. The Quiet Room. Yeah. Well, you know what I'm saying. audiblepodcast.com/WTFpod. Go get your free download. And look, if you're really crazy, that means you'll do anything to feel better. Right? You'll put things in you. You'll lube things up. You'll hang from a ceiling. You'll wear a hat. You'll, maybe masturbate with several other fake penises and perhaps a false vagina. I don't think I've gotten that graphic before, but you can get 50% off almost any item. From Adam and Eve at adamandeve.com with a free bonus gift, 3 free DVDs, free shipping. All you got to do is go to adamandeve.com, enter WTF at the checkout. Sate that crazy with sex. Look, I'm not promoting, sexual addiction, but I am saying that, in a pinch it works. Just don't get carried away. You know what? Do get carried away. Go to adamandeve.com and just fill your crazy brain with possibilities to make your sex even fucking weirder than it is now. How's that? Let's talk to Joey Diaz. You do the thing.
We try to do the thing.
You got your own podcast?
Yeah, early morning.
You're a regular on the Rogan show?
Regular? Not that regular, but regular when he does it.
From what I can understand, and this sort of stuck with me because I think you were right, and you're not going to remember it, but I know that in passing, during one of Joe's one of the periods where he was angry at me. I think we're okay now. That you had brought up a situation where I came to your house.
Did I say it on the podcast, or was it? No, I talked to Ari about it.
Oh, is it Ari?
Me and Ari were talking about it.
And, and I think you're right. But, let's set it up. I'm talking to Joey Diaz here, and I was in town. It must have been 1998. Is that possible?
97.
97, 98, right? So I'm in town. I don't live here. Now, I'm just going to tell you who I was then. At that point, I was coming here. I think I was still married. My wife did not tolerate the drugs. And, I used to come out, and my guy was, Baker was my guy.
Right.
And then I came out, and Baker wasn't around. I saw you at the store. You're like, what are you doing? And I'm like, well, I don't know. I got nothing to do. And was it my birthday or something?
It was your birthday.
And I got nothing to do. I got no Coke. I don't know what I'm going to do. It's my birthday. I got no friends. And you invite me over. And like a fucking gypsy asshole, I'm like, this is, what am I don't know this guy. I'm going to go to his house. And it was very nice. Your girl at the time was very nice. And I didn't bring a bottle of wine. And, in retrospect, I apologize. It would have been the right thing to do.
No. Let me explain this back to you.
All right.
The story that was told to Ari
yeah.
was not about a bottle of wine.
Yeah.
It was about addictions.
Oh.
We were talking about addictions.
Okay.
And we were talking about the whole thing of addictions, and I had gone to Miami, and I had gotten some mojito shit that you pour on chicken and you cook it. And you were telling me, we were talking about Rick Kearns. And
right.
I said, come over for your birthday.
Yeah.
And you came over, and you go, I'm not hungry right now, whatever. And we were drinking something or eating, and you didn't eat, and you went in the bathroom, you're doing a couple bumps. And that afternoon, I went and I go, is it fucking me or am I crazy? He didn't offer me. But I wouldn't have done it anyway. Do you follow me? Because it was the afternoon, I had a spot.
Yeah,
and that's what the story I told Ari.
Oh, I thought it was like just about being like a guy who comes to...
No. It was about addictions.
Oh, so it was about not sharing my blow or offering it to you.
Offering it to me. So I'm sitting there. I'm mad, but I'm happy. It was the weirdest thing. When you're an addict, you're mad and happy. I was all fucked up. I'm like, that cocksucker didn't offer me a blast in my own house. But then again, I wouldn't have done it because I wanted to eat the Cuban chicken and rice and beans. So, do you understand that?
All right, well, here, let me reframe the apology. I'm sorry that I didn't eat the chicken. I'm sure it was wonderful, but tremendous. I was jacked out of my fucking mind, and I just had enough for me. And I apologize that.
No. Yeah. I want to ask you, what was the guy's name that had the club in Florida that sold it and came up, checked himself into the Sunset Palm Hotel across from the Ralph's that we were all friends with, Bob Baker.
Right.
What was his name? He came out with an envelope full of cash, and he didn't leave till he had like $300.
I don't remember that guy. I didn't work in Florida that much, and I met Baker here. So my experience with Florida is limited.
Okay.
Did you live there?
Never.
Yeah.
I'm a Cuban kid from Jersey, northern New Jersey.
Right, from Bergen County.
From Hudson County.
Hudson County.
Right. What happened was, and before the revolution, if you went to Miami, they spoke about that there was freedom in New Jersey.
Is that true?
Yeah, that there was an embroidery boom, and they needed Cubans. So if you notice, northern New Jersey is very embroidery. So
heavy?
Like my father was
embroidery heavy?
Heavy.
Yeah.
It's embroidery heavy. So my father was one of the first Cuban committee men, like in 59.
Uh-huh.
So we were there way before the revolution. Like I was born in 66 in Cuba.
So he got out before the revolution?
Yes. Him and my mother came over, opened up a business.
So it was no problem to get out?
It was no problem.
It was like you move.
It was like before 59.
Yeah.
Cuba was like Atlantic City. What do you want to do this weekend? Well, I'm going to bum around.
Yeah, right.
Fuck it, Mark. Come on. Let's get the plane for Cuba.
Yeah, party.
You check into the, whatever the Ritz, whatever hotel.
It's like Vegas. It's like Godfather 2.
Yes, it was like Vegas.
Yeah.
So they would keep coming back and forth. So, yeah, a lot of people always like Dom. A lot of people think I was raised in Miami. Not at all.
I don't know what, I guess that's what it is. But you see, I guess, there's a very fine line between, Jersey and Miami.
Yes, there is.
The feeling. Because most of New Jersey eventually ends up in Miami. They have a summer home where they retire there, whether they're Italian, Cuban, Jewish.
Yeah, they all go to Miami.
There's something about Florida. So, all right. So you grew up which part of Jersey? Because I didn't grow up. My family's from Passaic County.
Right, I'm close to you. We would have played together against each other in high school.
We would have if I played anything.
Group 4,
Did you?
I played whatever I could. Baseball, I ran cross-country track, shit like that.
What the hell happened?
Drugs and abuse and life.
Right? Beats you down.
Yeah, Passaic. I'm Hudson County. You're Bergen County?
Passaic? I think it was Passaic County because my mother's from Pompton Lakes.
Okay,
which is where,
Forsaken.
you know where that is?
Yes.
You do.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah, she grew up there. My father's from Jersey City. Like, I'm Jersey in my blood. My gene line's from Jersey, but I grew up, they moved when I was like 7.
Jersey City is a very interesting place.
Now or always?
It always has been. It always has
But you
been.
really grew up in Jersey. You go back to Jersey? You have family to Jersey? You feel tied
no,
into
I have
Jersey?
nothing in Jersey. I have no family. They're gone.
Yeah.
I have the kids I grew up with, I have.
Yeah.
And I still go back. But I got to tell you something, Mark. I have a hard time performing in New Jersey.
Why?
Because my friends from high school come and I don't know how to act. That's the only time. Listen, I don't know how to act in front of 2 sets of people.
Right.
Once, the reason why I don't drink, and I've never drank and drive.
Yeah.
But you know why?
Why?
When I'm straight, I don't like a cop behind me. I can't handle it. I fucking can't handle it.
Yeah, I don't either.
And there's just thing like, the drink and drive thing, and I hate performing for them. I can't keep it together.
Because they know you from
Yeah, I hate talking like that in front of them. I hate, I have a hard time. So I go back very limited. I play Long Island.
Yeah.
I'll play like Manhattan, but I won't put it on Twitter or Facebook.
Yeah.
Just so they don't even ask me.
What happens when they show up? You regress?
Painful.
You regress into something?
Yeah, I don't know. And they all say to me, we knew you in high school. Like, I started my comedy career on the #1 bus from Jersey City to the high school.
Yeah.
Let's get the fuck out the basics.
Yeah.
On that bus, we got on the bus, and our job was to torment that fucking bus driver.
Yeah.
We'd start with the theme from The Odd Couple.
Yeah.
Madison's wife deserved to heave, never returned.
Yeah.
Dun, 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 dun.
Yeah.
And then we'd start doing commercials and jokes, and then somebody would hit the bus with a snowball, and that was our entertainment. That was it. And then you moved on to a deli.
Yeah.
But I didn't have an idea. In front of the deli, the chick that walked by with the limp, the fucking deal, the guy that's after thought. It's just something, and that's how you evolve, and I never knew. And then I listened to a Richard Pryor album, and I'm from Cuba, and I spoke Spanish in the house, and you heard all these things about Cuba, and I'm listening to Is It Something I Said? And I'm listening to these words he's saying, and I'm dying inside. Because when I was 10, I looked at America a lot different than somebody who was born here. I looked at America as the end-all, be-all. Like, this is just fucking too much. My head's going to blow up.
Because your father was like that? You was kind of put into you? Like, this is the land of opportunity?
This is it. This is fucking for all the marbles.
Yeah.
This is, when you're a kid, there's nothing. I didn't learn to speak English in school. I learned to speak English watching Dick Van Dyke.
Right.
And then you evolve. After Dick Van Dyke, the In-Laws, I Love Lucy, and you mixed it all together, and it was... it's something different for me.
Right.
I get emotional talking about, like, baseball is different for me.
Yeah.
Pittsburgh, when I watch, I'm not even a fucking Pittsburgh Steelers fan.
Yeah.
When I watch Pittsburgh Steelers against Dallas, that makes me feel like a fucking American.
Right.
That's...
You have an immigrant mentality.
Yes, it's just an immigrant. You're proud to be here.
Right,
like, every day for me is, God damn. I know my cousins in Cuba are sharing an egg right now for breakfast. One fucking egg between 4 of them and going, this is delicious. Here I am at
Do you have cousins in Cuba?
Put their video on. My cousins are in the national rock band in Cuba.
Really?
So my cousin is like the heavy metal Cuban guy. They opened up for Chris Cornell.
Yeah.
They opened up for Yes.
In Cuba?
In Cuba.
Huh.
And my other cousin, Emmy Afonso, is this beautiful Sade type girl.
No shit, they're all in show business?
They're all in show business.
That's
I'm the only comedian.
But that's something, isn't it? It's weird, right?
It's
First cousins?
First cousins.
Do you ever go there?
No. Once I left, they yanked my passport.
So you're probably afraid to go there.
No, I think if I go there, I would just break down and stay inside. I have a sister that got stuck there.
Oh, really?
When my father died, they sent them back there.
Wow.
Yeah, like it was really heavy duty. Like I don't even know why I didn't join the Marines or something. Like it was ready, like my mother wouldn't let me speak Spanish outside the house.
But you were brought up speaking Spanish.
Oh, in the house you had to speak Spanish.
Right.
But outside the house, this was America.
Because you had a pass. You had to, you wanted to be part of America.
Yeah, you didn't want to embarrass yourself. Like my mother stressed it. Like, listen, motherfucker, this is America. When you're out there, you don't hablo español. You're an American. Be proud,
motherfucker.
Yes, yeah. My mother loved Price is Right. That was her favorite. Come on down, Coco Diaz. Come on down, motherfucker. And I grew up going to the Mets.
Yeah.
You know, and that's big.
But they sent your father's body back to Cuba on a request, or he requested
66, there's two types of Cubans.
So you're about the same age as me. You're born 62?
63.
I was born 63.
There's two types of Cubans.
Yeah.
The ones they know they got black blood in them.
Yeah.
And the ones that know, but they don't want to know. They live in Pasadena, those type of Cubans. You put mambo music on, and they dial 911. So my father's family thought that they didn't have black blood in them.
Yeah.
So they were like from Spain. They were Cubans, like they spoke like this. And
aristocratic.
Yes, very, they read books and glasses and the whole fucking deal. And my mother's side of the family, they're just musicians.
Yeah.
They're just rogues.
Yeah.
So my mother said, you want the fucking body? Take the fucking body. So she went all the way to Mexico with the body and shipped them. At that time, it was 66, so Castro had a firm grip.
Yeah. Real firm.
Real firm. It was funny because I was born in Cuba, and I was with my grandmother. My grandmother was raising me and my sister.
Yeah.
And my mother would come on the weekends and hang out, and then she'd go back and run her bar. They had a bar, a restaurant, and they had a restaurant.
You were brought up with your mother?
I was brought up with my grandmother till I was 3, pretty much.
Well, where was the old man?
The old man was in New York with my mother. They would come down on the weekends.
Okay.
For long weekends, hang out.
Why'd they give you the grandmother?
Because it was easier for them. They had no babysitter. They had no cousins in Cuba. It was easier for them to get around New York City. My parents were...
Did they get their citizenship here?
Everything. They had everything. They were legit. They were straight up legit.
Unbelievable.
Straight up American citizens. I'm an American citizen, the whole fucking deal.
But they're just leaving you in Cuba. Weren't they scared? I mean, Jesus Christ.
No, you with Grandma. You're at the beach every fucking day.
What about Castro?
At that time, they didn't really have us. Castro didn't really know. He didn't claim communism until like 61, I think. I don't know what the fucking deal was.
Right.
But they knew people in Cuba. No, it wasn't as locked in at that time.
Right.
And then once they brought me like in 65, the beginning of 66, and my dad dies. So
Jesus,
they ship his fucking ass back.
Because the family wanted it.
The family was like, we can't eat Sunday dinner without knowing he's 2 miles away. Those fucking douchebags. I've never spoken to them ever. Like, I had a conversation with my grandmother when I was 8, and I knew that this was not going to work out. She wasn't lovey-dovey.
Yeah.
She was like, you have dirty knees type shit. You can't sit on me.
So he died. What did he die? Just dropped dead?
Yeah, he just died. 37.
Holy fuck. That's scary.
37.
And you were 3?
3.
So
just turned 3.
Now what happens?
My mom sells a sandwich shop and takes the bar and fucking makes it into the tremendous Spanish bar that Celia Cruz would play at. Anytime somebody came into the city. In the city, they would shoot over to Union City and close the bar out there.
It was in Union City,
which is a very big Cuban community.
Right. They build their neighborhood. They all come from Italy or wherever, and they're
all in Jersey, so it's very interesting. There's a lot of people who knew each other in the old country.
Yeah.
Because their fathers grew up together.
Right.
So they're like Short Hills, New Jersey.
Oh, yeah.
I had a friend that was Jewish, and he lived in Short Hills.
Yeah.
But he was telling me that his whole fucking tribe from Israel lived, in that, whatever. I don't know if it's a tribe.
It's all right.
Sure.
But 12 tribes of David or whatever.
That was very interesting that he had said. I never knew that. I was like, oh, that's interesting. And
right.
I was watching a TV show, and they said a lot of people from that Italian neighborhood settled in that place. So with Cuba was the same. My mother mingled with like the doctor I had on 37th Street, classic motherfucker.
Yeah.
This was when doctors were doctors. His name was Orlando Del Valle. He made house calls.
Yeah.
Now, my mother partied.
Had the bag. Yeah,
my mother partied.
Sure.
My dad partied also. They partied. They did everything.
Yeah.
They tried to keep it from me, but I figured it out.
Yeah.
Their front business was the restaurants.
Right.
The underling business was the numbers.
Yeah.
They sold numbers in Harlem.
Oh, yeah.
And they had
number
banks.
runners?
Yeah, they took the numbers and you give it. So that was their underlying business. So they partied.
But they weren't affiliated with the mob and the
No. They were Cuban. Yeah, they probably kicked in somewhere, but no.
Right.
My mom had the bar. The bar was her love.
Right.
She wanted to bring that Cuban. Like, I remember being a kid and she would cook and give away the lunches.
Yeah.
And she'd say, I got to show these motherfuckers what's really cracking.
And what was it? Yeah,
and it was all mailmen and bus drivers from across the street.
What'd she make?
Carne con papa, the Cuban pot roast, the potatoes, white rice. Listen, I don't give a fuck whether you hate Spix or not. When they give you a dish with black beans and fried bananas, you're going down, bitch. That's just the way it works. And there's just certain foods that you're going down. Hummus, you're going down. Spaghetti and meatballs, you're going down. There's certain food that you taste, you go, wow, this food's pretty good. I hate these Spix. But whatever.
God, that was always, I used to talk about, I tried to do a joke once about Pakistan and India. I'm like, but they have such wonderful breads. Why don't they get along? I mean, it's a fucking good. Eat some chicken.
Yeah, Pakistani bread.
Yeah, it's all the same. But yeah, go ahead. So they used to party hard. The doctor,
and we
doctor.
had this doctor named Orlando Del Valle, bad motherfucker. And in those days, they made house calls. If you're growing up now, you'll never see a doctor in the apartment.
Get a vet to come over, maybe.
Oh yeah, for $9,000. Those motherfuckers don't go to them Christmas week. You'll get fucked 2 times. And they would come over, and this was after my mom remarried.
Yeah, she married a good guy.
Yeah, he was a really good guy. He'd come. The doctor would come over. And they'd go in the room and he'd check my tonsils and he'd go, all right, till today, I hate needles.
Yeah.
Some people hate snakes, some people hate flying.
Yeah.
I even go to acupuncture once a week to get the fear. I've been 7 years. So I'm not bad now, Mark.
Yeah.
But from time to time I'll faint.
Yeah, really?
For
with
blood
a needle?
tests. Yeah, oh, please, just seeing it.
Yeah.
Just seeing it. Sometimes on acupuncture, I feel it going into the skin, and I go down. She's used to it. She just gives me the immunity. Yeah. So I go down. I used to go down maybe 15 times a year. Now I go down maybe 4 times a year.
From the needle?
From the needle.
Just going in.
Mark, at our age now, you got to get checked out.
No, I don't.
We have to go to SAG building and see Dr. Wexler.
Who's Wexler's your guy?
Yeah.
I go to the one on, I go to Bob Hope on La Brea.
Me too. That's my guy.
Yeah, well, my guy used to be Heichman.
Yeah.
Murray Heichman.
Yeah, great people there.
He's not there anymore. Now I got Watson, and she's this African-American lady. So it's very funny because I went in there the other day, I had some problem with gas. And I'm trying to tell her, like, I don't know, it's more gas than I think is necessary. So I got to tell this doctor, this nice black lady who's standing there giving me this look. I'm like, but like, I don't know if it's food related because it's not coming out burping. It's coming out of my ass. I'm telling her, this woman, she's just looking at me. She figured it out. It's these fucking nicotine lozenges. Got mannitol in them, like what they used to cut the blow with that made you fart. That shit in there, they put in these lozenges, and she's like, that's it. And I'm like, well, what do you? And she goes, stop those. I'm like, well, how the fuck am I going? How am I going to get my nicotine? She just gave me this look like, I don't know.
Not to take off the subject, but do you remember when you'd call the guy?
Yeah.
And he'd tell you he was coming over and you had to take a shit. You're like, Joey, hold the 50. When he shows up, give it to him. Don't take nothing out of the envelope. I'll be right down. Remember when I quit doing blow?
Yeah.
I didn't shit for like a month.
Oh yeah, that stuff will always get you going.
Like a month. 1 minute. I remember doing it, running upstairs, and then doing the other half.
Yeah.
While I was sitting on the throne looking out the window.
Right. Yeah.
Paranoid with the cats. You stay right there.
That's a real party. Just you and your cat while you're on the shitter, wondering if someone's coming to get you. That's when you know it's time to stop doing blow.
I locked the motherfucker out one night because I had a cat that when I come in, he'd run out.
Yeah.
But I'd have to run into shit because I do have to package in the car.
Yeah.
So I run in, he runs out. Finney, my favorite motherfucker in the world, he passed in January. I'm sitting on the throne, I hear boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
So I do the rest of the package. I go to DEA.
So
I do the rest of the package. I put my sleep apnea machine on. I lay in there for like 4 hours, nothing happened. I go, that motherfucker, it's Finney. I open the door, he's out there sweating profusely, hissing at me.
It was a cat?
Yeah, he was all hissed out and shit.
I can't imagine you all jacked up pretending to be asleep with an apnea machine.
With the apnea.
Sweating.
Oh, and it's going one way and I'm blowing the other and we're at war. Bad breath. It's fucking tremendous. So, it was fun. Dr. Del Valle would come over. And it'd be like 3 in the afternoon. I always had a problem with my tonsils growing up until I got them yanked out. And he would say, lay down on the tonsils. We're going to have to give you a needle. And I'd say, let me think about it. And my mother had 0 patience. She was ready to throw the fucking ashtray at me.
Yeah.
And then I go, let me think about it. And Del Valle knew that if I thought about it, that's the answer he wanted, because my mother would offer him a beer, and after the beer, he could ask for a bump, and the party would start. You know what I'm saying? So, and I never knew this, Mark,
So the doctor was at your house for the rest of the afternoon?
He'd go out there with my mom and my stepdad, whoever else was over there. He'd come back all bumped up. And I used to say to my mom, what's wrong with his fucking jaw? Nothing. And I didn't figure it out till 15 years later. I went to him, and he would ask me, can you get me some blow?
No!
Like in the 80s. And
really?
He had 2 kids, and one of his kids, it was the 80s, and one kid got hooked on powder and was stealing the prescriptions and was writing Valiums.
That's bad.
So he lost his license. He's in Miami now. He's about 80. And I still call him like twice a year.
Really?
Yeah, he's a good dude, man.
So then what happened to the kid who put him out of business?
He's somewhere in New York sniffing fucking Valiums and assholes part-time.
Look at that.
Yeah, so it was really weird. Orlando Del Valle would give me... Those are the days when a doctor would come over, and for $35, not only would they give you a shot and a prescription, they'd leave a syringe and a little vial of fucking penicillin, so if something happened overnight, your mom could blast you. Because my mom would have that shit in the purse with her.
She'd shoot you out?
Oh, she'd shoot me right at Shea Stadium. Any fucking problem. Right there at Shea Stadium, I'd be crying. 10 Puerto Ricans holding me. She'd be giving a fucking...
You have no recollection of them doing bumps when you were a kid? Like, you just knew that you just put it together later?
I knew probably when I was about 9 or 10 that they were up to something.
Yeah.
And then on my birthday, it was really big. My mom on my birthday really threw down.
Yeah.
She would have an afternoon party.
Yeah.
for myself and the kids, and then at 7, the kids would abandon ship, and she'd have a party for the adults.
Yeah, yeah.
And Tito Puente would show up at the bar.
Tito Puente, you saw him? You saw him when you were a kid?
As a kid, I knew the motherfucker. Like, he would come to the bar, and they'd get all gacked up.
Yeah.
So I would sit there, and Potato and Totico, this other tremendous Cuban combination, and I remember being a kid, and the first piñata was for the kids.
Yeah.
And the second piñata was a special one for the adults.
Yeah, yeah.
And my mother would grab me and go, if you see aluminum foils, pick them up.
Come on.
I swear to my mother's grave. And I'd get pissed off.
Just rocks? Yeah.
Like, these are the days when you got it in the loop. I'm talking about, this is 71.
So it was still just this rock of shit and a piece of aluminum foil.
I didn't look in there, Mark. I just would give her the aluminum foil.
Right, yeah.
And then I had a crazy uncle. Who would take me into New York. He'd take me to 54th and 7th to get a haircut.
Yeah.
In the 70s, it was $75 for the haircut. That was like paying $3,000 for a fucking haircut then. He would take me over there. He was like an old school guy. I was like 12. And he'd say, listen, if you're going to ever suck some chick's pussy, you got to put Coke rocks in the pussy. And I'd go, what are you talking about? So he'd give me a little container, a few things, and I'd take them home and hide them. I didn't even know what the fuck this was.
You were 12?
About a month later, my mom would come home. Did Tati give you something? Yeah. Give me that. Would you fuck? What is wrong with that man giving you cocaine? I don't know, Mom. He said to put it on some chick's pussy. Don't even say those things to me.
That's a hell of a childhood.
Fucking hysterical, yeah.
And then that's your 12.
About 12, 13. Yeah.
And then what? So.
And I was a geek then. I was into models. I was into basketball. I was always into sports. I was really into sports. And then what got me jacked up in the 7th grade, I discovered pussy.
Yeah.
That fucked me up. I love pussy so much I got left back.
Yeah. Really?
I got left back because I just stopped focusing. I was in karate.
Yeah.
I did all these things. Her name was New Yorker. She was pretty hot.
Yeah.
And she didn't even let me fuck her, Mark. I was just dry humping her.
Yeah. That's how it was. I did that for years. Yeah.
Just listen to Earth, Wind and Fire. I would dry hump her. But she promised me that she was going to give me a taste, like in June.
Yeah.
So I was all fucked up. So
you're going to call your uncle to get the rocks?
No.
I got to put those in her pussy. It's not going to work out.
So look at Mark doing callbacks at 2 in the afternoon. I love it. So it was really weird. That fucked me up. And,
when did you finally get laid?
I got laid like a year later.
What, at 14, 15?
Something like that.
Yeah.
You know, in Jersey, I fucked her behind the grammar school after a basketball game.
Behind the
CYO
grammar
basketball.
School?
That's where you got your first taste, was behind like a church.
Was it your junior high, probably?
8th grade.
Yeah.
And then,
that's when
that was a mistake.
I felt my first boob in 8th grade. I think I put my finger in a pussy in must have been 8th grade.
And your face gets red. Remember the first time you fingered
know what the hell
somebody,
you're supposed
you
to do in
the
there.
fucking heat in your
Yeah.
head. You couldn't even focus. You were like like Al Pacino in The Godfather when he comes out of that bathroom and he heard the train. Remember, he was all fucking discombobulated. Like, what the fuck?
Before he shot the police chief?
Just before he shot the police chief. Tremendous. He was all fucked up.
Yeah, that's exactly what I felt like after I touched the pussy.
Yes, you did. You're like, what the fuck?
I don't know what's going on. I'm about to kill somebody.
I gotta go shoot somebody.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So what happened when? So no, your mom's not alive now, right?
No, I snapped like when I was about 14. I used to always go to karate and stuff.
Yeah.
And I discovered like pot. And my freshman year, I liked it, but I was still a jock, you know. And then I don't know what happened. I started doing like THC crystal.
Oh, my God.
In those days, which a.k.a. is fucking Gorilla Biscuits, a.k.a. Angel Dust, a.k.a. Jonestown 2020, whatever you want to fucking call it. That's in those days you went into 118th Street, and you bought a dime bag of chocolate Thai weed, and you bought a tray. That's what they called them, a tray of Jonestown, of Gorilla Biscuits.
What, come like heroin, like in a little...
It came a little thing, and you rolled the joint, and you sprinkled that in there, and you smoked, and you were gone for 12 hours.
Just like fucking out.
But in Jersey City, we would take the bus down to Hudson Catholic. And there was these little Puerto Ricans, dude, Hudson Catholic, great school, the home of Michael Corrin and Jim Spinarco.
Okay.
And there was 2 little Puerto Rican dudes down there, and they would sell you THC crystal, which you snorted. So for $10, you did 3 people got high. You were in the fucking 9th grade. So you went home and had to ask your mom for $5.
What kind of high was that shit?
Gumby dust. And then we were crazy. We'd take a bus into the city and go, all right, we're going to fucking get lost, and we're going to meet on 178th on Port Authority. And we played 3-card Monte. we'd go to those fucking houses where you had to sit next to a stripper and buy like a $10 bottle of champagne, and we'd say, fuck you, and then we'd run out of there. I mean, we were hell on wheels. We're lucky we didn't get stabbed.
And this is what, you're 15, 16?
14 still, 15.
Great. Do you remember the city was
different? Oh, my God.
Just take a bus in if you wanted.
Oh, my God.
Did you
Concerts?
drive?
No.
You took a bus in, right? The train?
You took a bus.
Right,
35
in the
fucking
city.
cents.
And it was crazy. Everything was dirty, and it was full of pirates and nuts.
$10 for, I paid like, what, 15 to see Black Sabbath and Van Halen. I paid like 7 because you stubbed your way in. The Garden that day, they had the levels. You had the red, the orange, the green, the yellow, and then you sat
like
up
78, 79,
yeah,
77.
77. I used to go to Julius Erving games against the Philadelphia 76 against the Knicks.
Yeah.
And I never paid a scalp. You stubbed your way in.
Yeah.
So when you bought a regular ticket, you gave it to the guy, he ripped it in half, right?
Yeah.
No. We took a fucking Finster LaRue, put it under the ticket, you give it to the usher, he don't give a fuck, he's Irish.
Yeah.
He's on the clock, and he's union, he's got a pension coming.
Yeah.
Now you're in there. Now the rest is up to you.
Yeah.
You didn't get a ticket, but you're in there. You're like at Dallas Stadium for $5. So now you got to walk around that motherfucker and finagle. And sometimes it took a fin. Sometimes there were 2 seats that were open. There was always something.
So what, you had to move. So what, you're like, here's our seat. All right, we'll go.
Yeah, we'll go somewhere else. Who gives a fuck?
Yeah,
you're in the game.
That's right.
And you were. Listen, you were 14. I went to a Dodger game.
Yeah.
I go to a lot of Dodger games. My uncle lives here, and I take him to. He's 78. I take him to Dodger games. I can't fucking sit at those things for more than 4 innings. I'm a comic. I got shit going through my mind.
Yeah.
But I take him, and I see he has a good time.
Yeah.
I go to Costco. I get $50.
Yeah.
You get 2 tickets, 2 sodas, and 2 hot dogs. It means the world to him. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
When I was 10, I'd come out here. He'd take me to SeaWorld in San Diego.
Yeah.
He's trying to bang chicks. I'm cock blocking.
Yeah.
So I got to take care of my uncle.
Yeah.
So I went to a Laker game this year.
Yeah.
Somebody took me one time, and this year I said, let me buy 4 tickets for these kids that I know, and I took them and the father.
Yeah.
And, Mark, it was $140 a ticket. I'm not complaining.
That's
but really,
crazy,
how does a kid growing up in this country who's a fan...
How's he going to go
to a fucking game?
Yeah. It's fucking wrong.
It's unimaginable. I used to get to these games for $5.
Yeah.
And you went with I was such a geek. I'd go with the basketball under my arm.
Yeah.
You know, maybe I saw somebody who'd sign the ball or just touch it.
Yeah.
That was my life at that age, you know? And now these kids don't even, they Twitter and Facebook, they don't go to a fucking game with a ball and you run down. And I did it without a seat.
Yeah.
I can't imagine with a fucking seat. I'd be on the court telling motherfuckers to suck my dick. Yeah. Like Spike Lee, get over here, cocksucker.
For that cost.
For that cost.
But they don't go unless the team throws a charity event. Bring the kids down who've got nothing on the bus, and we'll let them walk around the court, and then they send them home.
That's an episode of Maron next season. You take the kids, a couple blind kids, a couple Puerto Ricans to the game.
I wish I had family and kids around.
Yeah, these guys have 3 boys. They're into basketball.
How you know them?
My wife works with their wife.
Okay, now this isn't the woman I met years ago, right?
No, that was a stripper. She's back in Florida stripping. She's a millionaire.
Is she?
And she's still stripping at 43.
How's she a millionaire? From stripping?
She married an Indian guy that was like 150, and he died a week later from a good tongue up the ass. left her like $1 million, and she bought. It's a true story, man. She ended up buying.
I remember her being a very nice person.
Very nice. Yeah. She was a stripper. She was crazy.
Yeah.
But she ended up buying those women's gyms very
Curves.
early on in Michigan. She bought like the whole region.
The franchise for Curves,
and
probably,
Curves, and somebody came to her, dumped the fucking mill. She went to Florida, bought a house, and is still stripping at 43. She got 2 kids.
Stripping for fun or because she needs to?
Because she's a filthy animal. There's a certain need. You know, some people get the itch. She's one of the funniest people ever. She called me about 6 months ago.
Yeah.
And we were talking, and I go, where are you coming from? She goes, I'm coming home from the doctor. He says I got carpal tunnel. It's from giving hand jobs for $100. She said it to me. You know, when she said carpal tunnel, I thought about it.
Yeah.
But she just rattled it on. She goes, I think it's from giving hand jobs and shit like that. All those
so now
years.
she got to wear a brace when she jerks a guy off?
She jerks a guy off. $100, she said, for a jerk off, and like a blowjob's $200 or something.
Yeah, there you go.
Fucking living.
Yeah, exactly. So, all right, so now you're running around 14 years old. Now, where's the shift happen? So you're getting gacked up on fucking angel dust?
Angel dust and reefer, and I'm playing sports.
Yeah.
And I get hit with paraquat.
Whoa.
Summer of '79, I get hit in the fucking lung with paraquat. The government spraying fucking
garbage
paraquat on weed. I start spitting up blood.
Really?
I end up 13 days at Christ Hospital in Jersey City. Yeah. Spitting up fucking chunks of blood every time my heart beat.
Oh, my God.
So anytime I got emotional, I ran a sprint, That's how they ratted me out at football practice. Listen, I wasn't even going to go to the doctor. I knew I was spitting blood for a month. That's how crazy I was then. Because they would have fucking known the THC. I didn't know what it was.
You didn't go back to the Cuban doctor?
No, fuck him. He would have ratted me out. No, he found out. I'm not, by this time, I'm doing acid. I'm not doing blow yet. And I'm not doing nothing like that. I'm doing acid. I'm doing no mushrooms, nothing like that. And one night I do acid. I go out with a bunch of buddies of mine. I come home. And at that time, I was sleeping in this. We had the house in North Bergen.
Yeah.
And I woke up in the middle of the night to get water, and I found my mom dead. She had a heart attack in the middle of the night. So I was in a bad place.
Ugh.
We buried her.
You were 15?
I was 15. We buried her. My stepfather came over.
Yeah.
My stepfather and her had gotten divorced a year earlier. Him and I had a great relationship. My mother left money, but she didn't leave a will.
Yeah.
And that's where it gets icky and wicky.
Yeah.
So from there on, I lost faith, and I just got fucking crazy for
Where'd the money go?
Years. He took the Gitas. He sold the house. You know, there was some jewelry.
The divorced stepfather.
The divorced stepfather. There was property in Miami that she had bought in the 50s that now FLA was buying. MIA was buying. That's what she was in the process of selling. That was like her retirement fund in her mind-fucked mind. But that happened, and then, you know...
So you got screwed out of everything.
You lose
and you
faith.
got nothing. And you had no power.
No power, nothing.
So then it was like, fuck
Not
you.
even Social Security. I had the kiss of death put on me because my mother never worked under her real name. She worked under an alias,
right,
which was Sophia. And my dad worked under his name and only had 9 quarters.
Yeah.
So I didn't have enough for Social Security. I would have had to argue. I said, fuck it, I'll just go steal for a living.
Yeah.
And that's exactly what I went and did for I didn't really steal.
Where'd you live?
This Italian family took me in, the Benders.
Yeah.
And then...
how'd you know them? They just...
Grew up with them. Grew up with the family on the street.
So down the street kind of thing?
Down the street.
Listen,
yeah, those are the people. I grew up in a great neighborhood. I grew up in a neighborhood, and it was very weird, you know. And I tell people, at that time, it was the 70s. Yeah. We were the Arabs.
Right.
The Cubans were Arabs in those days.
Right.
We were the Spicks down the corner.
Right.
You know, and these Italian people dug me. You know, I hung out with everybody, and if it was time to throw down, I had their backs.
Right.
And, the Italians and the Jews and the Irish liked that shit.
Yeah.
You know.
So that was you hanging with everybody.
Even though he's a Spick, fuck it. He's all right. His mom makes nice rice and beans. And
a lot of fighting?
No, nothing like that. A lot of...
Not afraid of it,
tricky situations.
Not afraid of it?
No, we would rob trains. We used to rob. Wow. We used to rob the trains.
Oh, wait, so you move in with this family.
This was before we were still...
Okay.
This neighborhood was a very white-collar, blue-collar neighborhood. Yeah. Like, the parents were white-collar, but the kids were blue-collar. They were dirty Irish kids and Italian kids. Yeah. You know, it was like our gang, you know? And we had different... Like, first we would go down there when we were 12 and steal the punks. Yeah. Remember punks from the swamps? And you sold them to people.
The light shit, you know?
Right, and they would light them on fire to keep the mosquitoes away.
Oh, right.
So we'd sell them for $1
Or use them to
punk.
light firecrackers.
Yeah, so can you imagine that? Like, we stole the newspapers out of a thing and sold them on the street corner. Right, we did every scam. These kids were amazing little fucking gangsters. we stole the artificial turf from Giant Stadium and walked it up the fucking Route 3 and put it in our garages. I don't know why. We just had to steal it. That's how. You know, when I came here, you were looking at Spider-Man. Yeah. And when we were kids, we were comic book geeks. Yeah. But we had this guy, like this Arnold De Palma type guy that lived in his mother's house. Yeah. He was like 90, but he lived in his mother's house. One of those guys with the wig. Right. But he was a comic book guy. Yeah. And he had been hit in the head with a pipe somewhere, so he really wasn't into it. And we'd send him for Superman, and we'd steal the Fantastic Four. Yeah. Then we'd bring it back and clip the other ones, and then we'd take them into the city and do the conferences. I mean, growing up in that area of Jersey at that time was badass. Right? Yeah. And then we got hooked on the trains. Yeah. And we started stealing mini bikes. In those days, the popular one was Honda Mini Trail. It was 3.
What do you mean on the trains? You just go down the yard?
Go right down there to Secaucus and get on these fucking things. And the train would go by, and the skinniest guy would jump on the train, break the seal, and then once the thing opened, you start throwing the boxes off, because in those days, the motorcycles came in a box. Right. They threw them off, and then you'd have to run home, leave. Somebody would choose the 21st finger is it. Your mother told me, you got to stay. Leave them some punks. Yeah. Leave them some punks. It's going to be dark. But you're in for fucking 50 points. So in those days, those motorcycles were $340 new up the corner at Kawasaki. We sold them to you for $100. So we'd have to get like somebody's brother. Yeah. And put them together. Dog, empty the trunk of the Cadillac. You know. Come on, I'm on a date. I just got new cologne on. Come on, dog. We'll give you $200. We got to go down there, carry the fucking motorcycles through the Secaucus, get bit. Yeah. You know, in those days, they were just starting to drop out.
Swampy.
Oh, this was way before they dropped the cancer in the alligators. Right. This was way before
We
that.
used to drive by there with my grandmother, and she'd say, "You smell that? That's from the pigs." It was all pig farms. Before
Sea-Caucus was all a pig farm.
Yep.
Absolutely right.
Elizabeth, that's where my grandfather comes from. So you were just hustling shit.
Those kids, they were fucking nuts.
So
Nuts.
okay, so now you're 15. You're living with this family. Do they know you're up to this shit or what?
It was tremendous. They were like one of the best people, because the reason why I had a chance to move with the Balzanos, who he was a gangster cop. He would smack people in the neighborhood. If you knew them, you got away with murder. And I was tight with them. And they lost a son, which made it even the odds of me moving in. At my mother's funeral, I was like a free agent.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm waiting for good offers here. Like, people come up to me. Like, I had air conditioning. I had cable TV. Seriously, my mother had dough, and she spoiled me. I was an only child. It was me and her. So I was looking for the back carpeting. I had my own bedroom, you know, and I was looking for the best deal, and it's a joke, but in reality. And the Benders, they were like this family that was very loose. Like, they had no...
They're not Jews, or they were Jews?
No, they were loose.
Oh,
They were very loose, but they were very... they didn't have a curfew. And the one that was my age, it was hysterical. I loved the way the mom made traditional Italian food. So if I was out on a Friday or Saturday night, and I'd see John, that was his name. I go, what are you doing? He goes, I'm over here with this girl. John didn't drink nor smoke. John just liked to get his dick sucked. He was like a perv. So I said, you going to be out for a few hours? He's like, yeah, I'm not going back home. I go, perfect. And I go to his house. Because I knew the father loved to cook and shit. It was like Goodfellas. And I knock on the door. How you doing, Mr. Bender? Is John home? And they're like, nah, he's out, Cokes. And he'd take like a pause, and he'd go, you hungry? And I go, yeah. He go, come on in, let's cook. And me and him would cook. So they had this guy downstairs. It was the Benders lived upstairs, and Uncle Vito lived downstairs. And their son was Dennis. Dennis was a Vietnam vet, and he hung out with other Vietnam vets. And they were into, you know, Hendrix and poking themselves. This is a fucking great one.
Banging dope?
Banging dope. And I would see this, and I loved Uncle Dennis. You know, he was a tough guy. So I was with them one night, we're eating, and all of a sudden somebody knocks, and goes, Jimmy, Uncle Jimmy, one of the guys downstairs is a little drunk. And he knew what it was. He's like, I hope it's not what I think it is. He goes, come on. He's eating like a sandwich, right?
The guy's blue.
We walk downstairs. The guy's blue, foaming from the mouth and shit. He's like, drunk my ass. This motherfucker's on heroin. Coco, hold the sandwich, right? So I hold the sandwich. He starts kicking the guy in the lung, right? He starts kicking him. All of a sudden, he's like, pick up a leg. Put him on the street. He ain't dying on my property. Jesus Christ. You know, you can't tell that to someone. That's Jersey. Like, put him on the street. As long as you don't die in here, we're fine. We put that motherfucker on the street with garbage, and we just walked upstairs. Finally, his uncle came and got him.
Did he live?
Yeah, he lived, but he had like a limp. He was fucked up. Just throwing punches at the air for years after that.
Oh, shit.
Just hysterical fucking neighborhood.
Oh, my God.
Carmine Balzano ended up shooting a guy in his house 7 times in self-defense in the back.
Which guy's this?
The guy I was going to live with.
Yeah, the cop.
The cop.
Yeah.
Ended up inviting the guy over for dinner.
Yeah.
Then shooting him in the back 7 times in self-defense.
In the back.
He got thrown off the force.
Yeah.
But he got his pension.
Yeah.
At the end, that's all that fucking matters. He's still around. I still call him once a week.
Once a week?
I still call Carmine once a week. Any of those motherfuckers who help me, I still call once a week. I give them the respect. Absolutely. The shit they put up with, every fucking week they come up with. Can you imagine, Mark? Can I talk to you, Mark?
Yeah.
Listen, Joey Diaz. He went down to the Improv. He put the tab on what the fuck.
Yeah.
You know, you got to control him. He's uncontrollable. I think every week somebody comes to you like that. These people tolerate it.
The Benders, too? You talk to them?
No. Mr. Bender died. I talked to Bobby. I talked to Bobby. That didn't end.
That's the kid?
Yeah, that's the one kid.
Yeah.
John is still kind of weird with me. They were weird with me because I got hooked on drugs there.
What were you doing? Blow?
It was the beginning, yeah. Once
or dope?
I was doing coke then.
Yeah.
Dope wasn't even a thought of process.
Yeah.
I didn't do dope till later. I tried the heroin later.
Snorting it. Smoking it?
Snorting it.
Yeah.
3 or 4
in
times.
New York?
A couple times out here. I got it sent out here.
Because you can't get that white shit out here.
My buddy, this is how I got off blow. I got off blow in 2007. But the process started like in February. And I got a hold of a buddy of mine who I used to drive. He used to drive me into the city. I'd get pills. He'd get blow.
Right.
He'd get heroin.
Yeah.
And he moved back home after 9/11. And he was telling me after 9/11 they were selling $7 bags of H in Newark. It had resurfaced.
Well, the thing, that's right. But, right. Because before 9/11, when I was on the Lower East Side, they were selling dime bags of really good shit. I mean, like, like it was... They realized that all these kids, they don't want to shoot it, so they're selling this China White stuff that you could snort and get just as much of a kick, and it was crazy.
It was crazy.
Because I hear from my understanding of it, you know, it was only that brown tar shit, that Mexican unprocessed shit, but the white stuff that you could snort was New York.
Tremendous. That's New York.
Yeah,
it's really good shit. You get a hard on. It's good shit. You got a good fucking hard on. You get evil. You spit in her mouth. You rub Bengay on her feet. You know what I'm saying? You get evil and shit.
Yeah, any drug will make you a little evil.
Oh, fuck. You get evil with bitches.
But you're saying that with...
leave them there.
With heroin, though, at least you can still fuck.
Oh, you get fucking crazy, bro.
Yeah.
The first time I did heroin was this dude named Gunther Brown.
Yeah.
We had stolen like an ottoman, and he was like a beetle collection. This guy was like a...
Wait, how old are you here?
This is probably like 17. My buddies, I had a crazy buddy, Didi Quintero, walking down the street, and we seen like an ottoman where people put dishes in.
Yeah.
And it was in the box still.
Yeah.
Like they had left it out there.
Yeah.
So I'm like, Didi, pick it up. We had a friend that used to collect lunch boxes.
Yeah.
His parents left him like millions, and all this guy bought was Beatles.
Lunch boxes.
Paraphernalia, lunch boxes, and anything Beatles.
Yeah.
He had anything Beatles, alarm systems.
Sure.
You know, at that time he had the smoke, like the Pink Panther.
Yeah.
He had that much Beatles stuff, but he was a complete junkie.
Yeah.
And we go over there and we're like, Gunther, we found, because his name was Gunther Brown, and he'd stutter.
Yeah.
So we'd fuck with him. He'd go, fuck you, motherfucker. And he was white.
Yeah.
And we dropped the thing off, and he goes, come back later, I'll give you the money. So I went back a little while later, and he goes, come on in. He had like a robe on. Like that scene in fucking the porno movie with the guy with the robe where they end up shooting people.
Right.
Boogie Nights.
Yeah.
And I go in there, and he's like, hey, listen, I was like a young kid then, you know, and I hadn't had like crazy sex.
Yeah.
He's like, you want your dick sucked? He's like, this is lady in the bathroom that'll suck your dick. She's like 65. She was. She likes to suck dick when you're taking a shit. You need to take a shit. And I'm like, come on, guy. Just give me the fucking $60. I just want to get out of here.
I didn't want it to be weird and change my life. I just want the money.
I just want the fucking money.
I didn't want to change the course of my fucking brain.
So he gave me the $60, and he asked me, because you want to do a line of heroin? And it was fucking tremendous.
Yeah.
It really took me from one, and that's when I thought I was gone. After that, I had in my mind, I had crossed the line when I did that heroin. But at that point, I didn't care. I didn't have a mother.
Yeah.
I lived with people. I had no, you know, every corner I turned to, everything was closed. The only thing I had available to me was school, football, which at that time I was too gone to play football. I still was getting great grades in school, though.
Yeah.
Under all this shit, I still kept it together at school.
Yeah.
You know, I had no parents, so this is all on my own.
Yeah.
I bought my own clothes. The vendors didn't charge me any rent.
Yeah.
I just bought my own shit.
You were working, or you just
I worked at a
hustling?
lumber yard.
Okay.
I worked at a lumber yard in high school, so I was part of the COP work-study program.
Yeah.
So I went to school from 7:15 to 12:30. Then I worked at the lumber yard from 1 to 5.
You got people looking out for you because
I had people looking out for me. So I had a lot of people looking out for me. And this is why, you know, I call those people. Every day I call one person. Like I just went back to do Artie, and I know a friend of mine likes Artie Lang, so I took him with me. He was in fucking heaven.
Oh, that's great.
You know,
yeah.
when I did the premiere of The Longest Yard, I brought 10 of my buddies from high school.
Oh, yeah.
Any of those motherfuckers that fed me, I brought them, Mark. They're the ones that put up with all this shit over the years.
That's what loyalty is important.
That's, you know, and sometimes it's blind loyalty, but if you don't have that, you have nothing. You know?
Well, sometimes loyalty is, it's got to be very forgiving.
Yeah.
You know?
Hey, man, we all grew up together, and we've seen ourselves go.
Yeah.
You know, I'm 50, and Mark, come on, I'll be honest with you. At 17, I was banking for 24.
Yeah.
I was banking that I would die at 24, or I would get involved in something and do 40 years, which you're pretty much dead. Yeah. You're pretty much dead. I knew that at that age.
But when did you get in trouble?
At 27 was when I finally ended up. I went 10 fucking hard years of living, you know, trying to be Don Johnson, you know.
Yeah.
And then I had nothing. But here's the fucked up thing.
Yeah.
At the time when I got arrested, I had 3 semesters of college.
Yeah.
Because even though I was fucking up and doing drugs, I was always taking classes.
Yeah.
I started at Colorado Mountain College, taking like stupid history.
In Colorado?
In Colorado. I ended up in Colorado after high school. Right? I said, fuck it. I'm going to end up dead.
Yeah.
It was just too heavy. I had robbed a jewelry store with some buddies.
Guns?
I was done. Guns, everything. We were, you know, at that time I didn't carry a gun.
Yeah.
I didn't know about guns, but I was so cold inside that I just wanted to kill.
Yeah.
I was ready to kill. Like I was hooked on the movie The Mechanic.
Yeah.
With Charles Bronson, which is a fucking classic.
Yeah.
I wanted to ice people like that. I just didn't know where to start. Well, if you want to kill motherfuckers, move to Colorado. You'll learn. That's where they teach you. That's the capital of death there. You know, I moved to Basalt.
Yeah.
And within 3 weeks, I met this girl and her husband. They had no kids, and he'd want to come over and watch movies. We went over. I knew the brother, and they were all cool, and she used to throw barbecues. And one night we're watching Rambo, and we're talking, and one conversation leads to another, and I told him that I shot a gun like that one time, and he goes, hold on. He fucking pulls out his couch, and under there he's got a fucking arsenal.
Yeah.
And from there on, I would go every Friday night, sleep over, and on Saturdays he'd take me gunning, and he showed me everything.
Yeah.
And he wanted, his big heist was to train me so we could rob the bank on Christmas Day on snowmobiles.
That was his big idea?
Aspen Bank.
Yeah.
Because that's the day it had the most money ever. It was like when the Yankees come to Boston.
And Aspen's a little town.
Little town, you could do it. Three mums could fucking do it.
So you're making diagrams and shit?
We're making diagrams, the whole thing.
Wow.
I'm going nuts. By this point, I moved to Snowmass Village. I had already gotten picked up hitchhiking by Don Henley and fucking Bob Denver. I mean, Snowmass Village at the time, it's 83. At the time, you look it up, it was the cocaine capital.
Dude, I used to go ski there with my family.
Are you kidding me?
But I was,
what?
No,
nobody knew.
Yeah.
They were sucking dick up there in 69 and way before. That's where it got invented.
Yeah.
Patty Bugatti's was a bar that was in the 80s that was around the pool.
Yeah.
You stood around the pool.
Yeah.
So when you wanted to jump in the pool, you jumped in the fucking pool because you were going to lose it from standing there from all the jawing and shit. What the fuck? People would jump in with clothes, with everything. There was no cell phones then. People didn't give a fuck about. They gave a paper license. You didn't give a fuck. You wouldn't got the next one.
Holy shit! We used to go to Snowmass every year when I was a kid because my dad had a convention. But I didn't do any of that shit then.
No, nobody did. You just went up there and you got. It was crazy. I was up there. I had nothing going on in Jersey. I had a buddy who had gotten thrown out of the Air Force Academy.
And what are you doing for a job?
I'm shoveling snow, but I'm really casing out joints.
Yeah.
And I got a 3-mountain ski pass. I had never skied before. I went to the Playboy Club. That's not skiing. That's brutality.
Did you ski?
Up in New York when it was 10 degrees?
Did you learn how to do it?
When I went to Colorado, fuck yeah. Once I got to Snowmass Village, I lived right there 2 minutes away. So I had my first season, I had a job shoveling snow for $12.50 an hour. Plus a ski pass. So you shovel from 7 to 12, you made whatever, and then I washed dishes at the Point. It was Bob Denver's restaurant.
Bob Gilligan.
Bob, the other one.
John Denver.
Okay.
Marc Maron.
They had a magician in there.
Yeah.
He was a cokehead.
Yeah.
And his big trick
magician?
I forget what his name was. His big trick was he'd get a card,
and
as a tourist, you had to put like a $50 bill in the card with a thumbtack, and there was a fan.
Yeah.
And he'd throw it in between the fan. If it stuck, he kept the 50.
Yeah.
But there was a little part in the restaurant. We'd go over at the end of the night and jump up and take the money from it was a complete fucking scam. So I worked there Monday nights and Tuesdays because it was prime rib nights.
Yeah.
And the chefs knew me, so they give me all the mistakes.
Yeah.
They knew I was into swimming and skiing and all this shit, so they give me, and we'd steal shrimp and everybody sold blow. I mean, that was the worst place you wanted to go if you wanted to get off blow.
And it's seasonal.
It's every day up there. At this time, then there was a guy named Dan Grabo.
Yeah.
Who was like, he's in books now and stuff, but fuck all that shit. I never met him. But you would hear about this guy that would go into restaurants and give you $50,000 and say, tell me when it's over. Yeah. He'd come in for like a $3 sandwich. He was going to eat there from his afterlife.
Yeah.
He was doing this everywhere.
Yeah.
And one day they arrested him. Like the first season I was there, 84, they arrested him, or 83, they arrested him with like $1 million, 3 different cars. He was the kingpin. He was making $6 million every 6 weeks.
On coke?
Of coke. This is in the fucking paper. He's telling Don Johnson to suck his dick. Woody Creek at the time, which is underneath. I used to go down there to get bags of weed, and that's where I seen the man. At the Woody Creek motherfucking tavern. Yeah. And one time I went in there and I seen him smoking his little cigarette. And then another time I went in there, he was in there with Bill, when he was doing Where the Buffalo Roam.
Hunter Thompson.
I seen Hunter
Bill
Thompson.
Murray.
I seen Hunter Thompson, Bill Murray. And then another time I went down there, I seen Don Johnson in there. And I would go in there to buy bags of weed. But the other thing was they had real chorizo in their nachos, which was mind-boggling in 1983. And I would go down to get the nachos, and I would look at fucking Hunter Thompson, and I knew who he was, but not really. Right. Now Bill Murray and Where the Buffalo Roam. I was seeing all this shit. I didn't really know what it was at that time. I didn't know. I remember one time being in.
You're like 19?
I'm 1920. I'm 1920.
Right.
And I'm working, I'm keeping it together, but I'm burglarizing little drug dealers at the time. And taking the blow and sending it back east. Fucking crazy.
Fucking
crazy.
You're burglarizing like the third or fourth guy down on the chain, just running around with a gun.
No guns yet. No guns, nothing. No guns. You know what, man? Even at that age, I knew I was around people that carry guns.
Yeah.
And I knew in the back of my mind it was never a good idea. You know, I knew. And these are the things that kept me the fuck alive.
You're just scaring him. You're threatening him. What are you going with?
No. At this time, I wasn't doing nothing like that.
How'd you burglarize?
B&E's. A guy like you would leave this door open with a scale and an ounce of blow. And I kick the window in, take your blow in the scale and leave. And then I see you at the bar and you're like, somebody broke in my house. What a fucking shame. No shit. Let's get to the bottom of this.
And you're sending the blow back east to move?
No, I would snort half of it and send the other half back and keep the cash. And this is fucking crap. But at the same time, I'm taking 6 credits a semester.
Yeah, at the college.
Colorado Mountain College. I'm taking like American political systems. I'm taking all this shit.
Yeah.
So in the process, I go back east. Why? I don't know. I go back east, and it's the fucking heyday of blow.
Yeah.
Gone is cocaine and weed. It's all crack. From 140th up to 181st is straight up crack.
Yeah.
You don't even know what the fuck this is.
Yeah.
I remember getting coked up one night and going into the city with a buddy of mine. I'm in the back seat. He's driving. I'll never forget this. I'm in the back just like foaming from the fucking mouth.
Yeah.
And he pulls up next to his hooker, and she's smoking this pipe. And he pulls up next to her, and he goes, what are you smoking? And she goes, crack, or whatever. And he goes, give me some. This guy was crazy. He gave her like $100, and the dealer came over and goes, open your hand. And he opened his hand. They just like dropped like
10 vials
or whatever. Yeah. And he looked at the hook, and he bought the crack pipe from the hooker. I don't know if he smoked. I didn't. You know me. I'm a Catholic.
Yeah.
But this is how crazy it had become. It had gone. And I tell people, it's like I saw that. Like people talk about the weed in California now. I'm that old that I saw how cocaine took over. Just took over. People were doing mescaline, blotter acid.
Yep.
That's it. Pink Floyd, The Wall, that type of shit. And all of a sudden one day,
everybody was nuts.
And if you sniffled, you were fucking, it put you into a different level. It's like basketball players that put glasses on now to look intellectual, and they have 20/20 vision because they look intellectual. That's what cocaine was in the 80s. If you did that, you were better. See, cocaine wasn't sold on a drug. It was sold on it made you, it elevated you as a human being. That's how they got you. You didn't pay more than, you were broke.
Yeah, I remember a kid, my cousin, my mother's cousin, he was in the fashion business, and at that time, they pull it right out the table. With older people there, they do a fucking bump, and they didn't give a shit. And also, there was, do you remember, of course you do, when you go into a place, you didn't have any blow, and then you just be at a bar in a town you don't know, and you kind of someone's got to have it. And you see some guy just go, and you'd be like, oh, that's a guy. And 9 times out of 10, it wasn't the guy, and you go over there trying to talk. So what do you got going on? What are you talking about? You don't got nothing?
Terrible.
So, anyways, the place at New York was on fire.
Completely different.
And then crack made it, violent.
Crack started coming in, in the winter of 84, and by 85, it was everywhere. You went into the city, and you're like, I want to buy weed. No weed, crack. What the fuck? You had to go down another 10 blocks. And
you like the crack?
No. I didn't get hooked on crack. I got hooked on crack for 2 months.
Yeah.
And it was because they sold it on Selma and Orange on the way home. I used to live on Selma and I used to live on Selma and whatever. And I'd have to drive that way because if you're on Sunset, there's cops.
And you're like, oh, I'm
coming home from the comedy store. I'm not drinking, but I got a package in my pocket.
Yeah.
But just in case, because when you're driving home at 2 in the morning and a freak's coming over, a gram might not be enough.
Yeah.
So now you might another quarter would set you perfect. Because even if you do the gram, you always got the quarter for backup. So I'd see Flacco on the corner. I'd pull over. What do you got? So one night he gave me this Coke rock. I didn't know what it was. I took it home. I'm trying to chop it up. I got fucking sick. I got dizzy.
Yeah.
And then my buddy's like, no, that's not Coke. That's crack, you fucking dummy. So I don't fucking know,
So you go to New York after Colorado.
Lose it.
Coke's out of control.
84, lose it. Get in trouble, not arrested, just get in trouble with my friends. I end up moving to Cresskill with a high school teacher.
Yeah.
Started going to AA meetings with him.
Yeah.
I still wasn't clean. I was still smoking dope.
Yeah.
And I was just plotting my next
Cresskill, New Jersey.
Cresskill, New Jersey by Dumont.
Yeah.
And I would take the bus into the city. I was still bartending on 52nd and 7th.
Yeah.
Comedy was nowhere in my fucking future. I loved it. Yeah. I loved movies. I loved comedy. That was the special thing about growing up in New York those days. For $2, you saw fucking 19 movies. Yeah. You saw all 3 Clint Eastwood movies. You went in there at 11. And so I always loved that. And I always thought I would figure out a way. And then I went back to Colorado in 85, and I was clean and sober, and I started making my way around, and all of a sudden I started, cocaine was $1,800 an ounce in Snowmass. And my buddies, I'm talking to them on the phone, they're getting it for $800 an ounce. So I said, fuck it, I might as well start flying back and bringing it back. So I started doing that stupid shit. And then I got really greedy. Yeah. Since in those days, you could go into 7-Eleven in those days and go, you guys got guns here? Let me get 10 of them.
Yeah.
I started buying guns in Colorado and bringing them back to Jersey, and then picking up the coke with the gun profits and bringing that back to Colorado.
Yeah.
So I'd make them 2 for 1. I was crazy, Marc Maron. Crazy, you know. And I did that for a while, and I moved to Boulder, which I hated at the time.
Yeah.
And in Boulder, I got it together for a while.
Yeah.
I went back to continuing ed in Boulder.
Yeah.
And after a month, they get back to me and go, no, you're out. You have too many credits. You got to transfer to the University of Colorado, or you got to figure something out. And I'm like, okay. And I sold Subarus. I had this girlfriend, and I wasn't doing bad. I was making like $4 or $5 grand a month. Went to school at night, 6 credits.
Yeah.
Here I am in the University of Colorado. I transfer. They won't accept me as Joey Diaz.
Why?
But then I got a letter the next day that if I was Jose Diaz, I would get a CUOP scholarship and all this shit, which I really am Jose Diaz.
Right.
I just didn't want to cheat my way in there, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah.
They said I could transfer. This is a dream of a lifetime. Yeah. My mother was dead. This is a lifelong passion for me to be an attorney, and here I am, bitches.
Yeah.
Here I am, motherfucker.
Yeah.
With my dick out. I'm here. And all of a sudden they go, no, if your name is Jose Diaz. So I went back, reapplied. They gave me $2,000 per semester, a Pell Grant. You know, I had to keep a C fucking grade, and all I had to do was show up. Because I had to listen. I could listen, take a few notes, and I could bang out a B.
Yeah.
And to say fucking, you know, after I got left back, I said, fuck it, this is easy for me, you know. Yeah. And I went back, and I was on my way. I was taking history classes. I was talking to the law school about maybe going in there and being a fucking attorney. Yeah. And one day, my greed took over.
Yeah.
And some kid comes in, a half a mook, and he comes in telling me he's going to go to jail, and his roommate's got 2 kilos of blow in the apartment.
2 keys?
2 keys. And here I am selling cars for $4 grand a month, talking to these fucking professors, asking me what the velocity of the car. Yeah. Because I don't know if you've ever dealt with people in Boulder. They're very intelligent for their own
very white.
Stupidity.
Yeah.
Stupidity in a way. But I love them. I still love them. Respect. You know, Boulder, you have this intelligence in Boulder. You have astronauts.
Yeah, yeah.
At the hub, I think that was the name of it. The hub of Boulder is a bank. One day, people went to the bank on Monday morning to make deposits, and there was a yellow tape around the bank, and it said, do not make deposits, drop in this box. And people actually dropped the deposits in that box. And finally, at 1 o'clock, the drive-in window realized, fuck, we haven't had too many customers today. What the fuck is going on? And they went out there and they had been robbed. And people were actually putting their fucking deposits in there. These are astronauts, Marc Maron. Putting their fucking, do you understand me? So you could mug these people at will. You could fucking hypnotize them. A moron could fucking hypnotize these people. This is what they did. A box. You're a fucking astronaut. You dropped the fucking deposit in a box because a sign said so.
Did they find out who did that?
No, this is the scam of the year, and here I am trying to get a fucking B in geography, and some guy's running around getting fake fucking Diaz on the bank of cash to boot. So I love Boulder, and I'm working at this place, and I meet this guy, and he tells me this, and I called New York, and I couldn't find anybody to help me pull this off.
With 2 kilos.
2 kilos is 4 pounds at the time. That's $100,000, which I was going to snort the whole amount probably. I was probably going to save $1. Yeah. And reality, you know, that's reality. Because I was going to go back and be Johnny Bananas and blow the whole thing. Then you're out there with people looking for you, and now you got a complete different situation. And I go to, the deal was me and this biker guy that I detailed cars with. His dilemma was he was dating a stripper who lived with him, but wouldn't let him sleep in the bedroom because she was still married. And she was a nude stripper. But because she was Catholic, Catholicism said you can't sleep with a man you're not married with. So so it's like a girl moving into your house and saying, you're sleeping on the couch, Mark. I'm taking the bedroom.
Because of God.
You can't fucking fuck me until God says so, or you give me the $10,000 for the divorce. So he was making a move to pay for this girl's divorce so he could fuck her. This is my business partner. This is how clear I was fucking thinking at the time. We go with a machine gun. And it's a series of events, which I don't have enough time to... I sent him over to get the blow. He went over and said there was nothing there. I knew it was there. I told the guy, fuck you. I went over, kicked the door down, took the 4 kilos, the 4 pounds, put them under one of those newspaper things. You ever go to those newspaper things? You put a quarter in, look underneath, cocksucker. They've built cities with cocaine under those things, or money that they drop off. That's an old school thing. Under the newspaper, there's a slot there. Yeah. There's a reason why there's a slot there.
For coke.
I put it under there for coke and other things. And I took it, and the genius biker guy put the guy in the trunk of a car.
Which guy? The guy with the coke?
The guy with the coke.
Yeah.
And was going to drive him to the bus station to put him on a bus to Arizona.
Yeah.
He gets pulled over because he's driving with no headlights on. He didn't even rat me out. When they like license and registration, you go, they open up the trunk. He's all bandaged up. The driver tells him Joey Diaz was my helper. I elude them for like 4 days, right? I go up into the hills. I'm smoking dope. I finally came down because it was the day Don Johnson was going to marry the chick on Miami Vice. Yeah. They were going to have a big wedding. So I said, fuck it. I'll go in there, turn myself in, I'll be out. This is how demented I was. I got to turn myself in, and they charged me with kidnapping, aggravated robbery, accessory to a felony. The feds want to talk to me about 3 other related fucking things.
But they didn't find the coke.
No, they didn't find the coke.
So the coke was out of the...
Gone. So, you know what? I ended up staying in there for 30 days. Bailed out. I stayed out for 8 months. Still retarded. Wouldn't claim responsibility. They threw me away for 4 years, you know. And when I was in there, the good thing was that...
on the kidnapping, right?
On the kidnapping. But I ended up pleading to second-degree burglary because it was nonviolent. I had a really good attorney and shit because I wouldn't have drama later. And I did that. But the good thing was when I was in there on Thursday nights, I would go up in front of a bunch of people. The projector would always break. Yeah. And I would go up there and, you know, they'd say...
On movie night.
On movie night, the shit would break. And just from talk, I was in charge of the stock clerk. Yeah. I was the only one who had a driver's license. So I was a stock clerk, which I hid the steroids for people. And I had weed and speed. Yeah. The bikers would give me speed. I'd charge them rent like $1 a week to hide that crank. You know what I'm saying? I ran this shit, Marc Maron. And it was an experience. It really was.
4 years.
I ended up doing altogether 8 months. There's holes in the system that society doesn't know about. That's why when they tell you they give somebody 48 years, don't believe it. Because at that time, if you didn't have a felony before that, you were eligible for House Bill 1200. Yeah. Which cuts your sentence in half. Right. So that cut it right to 2 years, which is basically 24 months. You're eligible for a halfway house at 18. You'll be sent to a halfway house at 16. So no matter what law and order tells you, you're only doing 8 months on 2 years. Yeah. And if your mother knows the judge and you get people to write letters, you're in a halfway house even quicker.
So in that experience of being in there just 8 months, which prison were you in?
Colorado.
A bad one.
Camp George West.
A real one?
No, and it was so weird. It was like a blessing because everything was, they told me I was backed up, that they were going to ship me to Texas. But that was great because those days count for 2 for 1. Right. So I would have been out of there in 4 fucking months. Right. So I didn't give a fuck, but they ended up sending me to the best jail ever. Like, I wanted to go to Rifle. Yeah. Because they had pools, and you could be a lifeguard and shit, and you go to the movies. But they ended up sending me to the place by Golden. It was Army Barracks, Camp George West, which has Coors next to it. And you were allowed off the premises for 20 minutes a day. And there was a Chinese restaurant, so I would call the Chinese place. Nobody could figure out how I was getting Chinese food, Marc Maron. I'd get to the bodega, I'd get a Coke, get the Chinese food, and walk back in. And I met this Italian gangster guy that was retired, and he had a bookmaking operation in there, and he couldn't sell shit. Yeah. So since I spoke Spanish, he goes, take over, and I became his partner. I started selling to the blacks, the Latinos, the whites. I was like a one-man operation in there. And, you know, I realized, like, I didn't do blow in there. I did acid a few times.
In prison.
And there was a very intellectual... Yes, there was a very intellectual guy who ran the library. Yeah. He had murdered his wife and her boyfriend. Great guy though. I loved him solid. And he was very who's the guy that sneezes on the coke? The great movie guy.
Oh yeah, Woody Allen.
Woody Allen. Yeah. Very Woody Allen. Yeah. Loved his sense of humor. Yeah, yeah. You could see Woody Allen murdering somebody after you met this guy. You follow me? That's how keen and intelligent this guy was. Yeah. This guy would drop Nietzsche on me. He'd drop philosophers. He'd drop Michael Jackson on me. He was very broad. Yeah. Very broad. He's from Buffalo, New York. Yeah. And he gave me a notebook once. And he goes, it's very important that you write your jokes in there. I got no fucking jokes.
This is after you start doing the
Thursday night. He goes, you have no jokes, you don't write. And I go, no, I go up there on Thursdays and I just talk about the black people and the white people. And he goes, dog, you got to try comedy when you get out. He goes, trust me, I've seen some comics in my day. And he put the bug in my ear right in there. You know,
and he made you get a notebook.
Yeah, he gave me one of those black and white notebooks, which was like $10 in those days in a prison. They're really fucking big time to get. Yeah. He had like 3. You know, he was a writer, this guy. He was in there for life. And if you see this guy, it really taught me about life because if I saw him, I didn't think he'd be threatening at all. He went home, caught his wife cheating. That was it. He goes, it was over.
It happened. That's why people kill people.
Yeah, and we did acid. I did acid with him, which really was fuck. He rolled his own cigarettes. Yeah. Guy was solid white, solid, you know. Yeah. No tattoos. He didn't hate nobody. He was just a solid white dude, you know. Yeah, yeah. And he just taught me a lot. He was really fucking sharp guy, and he talked me into comedy, man.
Do you keep in touch with that guy?
No, I tried. He's not on Facebook, you know. These motherfuckers don't believe in Facebook 20 years later. You know, I was 87 when all this went
So you don't even know if he's alive?
No, you know, I had one guy approach me after I got out, a Crip. I became friends with a Crip in there. That was a bad motherfucker. He used to get Nutter Butters sent in.
Yeah.
You know, when you get Nutter Butters sent in, you're a bad motherfucker. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
He would get boxes. That was his shit, Nutter Butters. He didn't give a fuck.
He reached out to you after he got out?
One time, and then he shot up like a 16 and over club or something over drugs in Boulder. I couldn't hang out with him on my probation. You know what I'm saying?
Luckily.
It was a probation violation.
That's lucky. That's lucky. Yeah, a couple of lucky strokes there, man.
Yes.
They didn't find those keys to coke. That would have changed that would have changed that story, right?
It would have changed everything.
So you get out of the camp.
I get out of there. I get married. That don't work out. But right before that doesn't work out, I go to the Comedy Works and I get on stage one night.
That's a good room.
And I just went there, and then it was I took a comedy class and got a job at Wits End and hooked up with George McKelvey, and he pushed me down, and I went down there, and I did it. And those days, it was 3 minutes once a month, you know, and you had to go to all these fucking Buffalo rooms, and it was a great experience. And I went to New York in '94 when I got divorced, and I did it there for a while. And then from there, I went back. I had a baby with that woman, and I wanted to be a father. The woman I married.
You divorced her and then went back and got married and then had a baby.
No, I had a child with her. I went to New York just to get my bearings back. After divorce, it's very tough. It was.
Oh, so you had a kid already?
Yeah, I had a kid. She was 18 months old when we got separated, and that didn't work out. And I went back and gave it a try for like 3 years to be a dad, and it just got worse and worse, Marc Maron. It just got worse and worse. And I met a girl in Michigan, and she was going to go to Seattle, and I had been told that Seattle was a great comedy market. So I said, I'm going to take a chance.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go up there. I'm going to try to be the best dad I can long distance. I kept an apartment for as long as I could. And then it kept getting uglier and uglier. Every time I go back, every time I go back, she wouldn't give me the kid. I ended up smacking the ex one time because he called my daughter a spick, and then he wouldn't cop to it. And that's interesting because I smacked him in front of a Safeway supermarket.
Her new husband?
Yeah, the guy in Baseline. You know, I gave him a chance to get out. I said, you called my little girl. My little girl asked me, what's a spick? And I go, where'd you hear this? And she goes, that's what he says whenever you call the house. So I said, that's an East Coast word. I didn't say nothing to my daughter what it meant. And I got out of the car and I asked him. It was in front of a Safeway. Yeah. I got out of the car and I had 2 felonies at the time. At this time, I was so fucking jacked up. Not on the blow. I was jacked up on my life. What was going on with this daughter and all this shit. That I had a plan, Marc Maron. My plan was to kill these motherfuckers and get a fax machine to take them to prison and fax jokes to Jay Leno.
That was the plan?
That was the plan.
You were going to kill your ex-wife and the guy?
And the guy, and $35 a joke. I was going to fucking bang it out. Me and Gene Perrette, motherfucker. We were going to bang it out in Judy Carter.
Like the part of the plan where it's sort of like, I can live with prison as long as I can get jokes to Jay.
Jay Leno, as long as I get jokes. Me, Gene Perrette, and fucking Judy Carter, we're going to make this happen. We're going to write a sitcom fucking right from behind the walls. And I smacked him. And you know, in my machismo, Latin, spick, demented world, it felt good for 10 seconds till I turned around. I seen my daughter crying. And I didn't want her to grow up like I kind of grew up. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? There was always drama at the bar. Yeah. I didn't need to see that shit growing up. And it was funny because the cops that came, I knew. You know, at the time I was a host at a car wash part-time. So I knew these motherfuckers. They're like, what happened? I told them. They gave me a ticket. And the next day I had to answer in court. He's with a black eye. And the beauty of it was I got thrown out of court because he told me a racial slur in the city limits of Boulder. Who's better than me? The judge threw it out of court because it happened on 30th and Baseline. If it would have happened across the street, I wouldn't be here having this conversation.
Who figured that out? Your lawyer?
The Lord. The judge, okay? The Lord. That's all. When somebody tells you, and you're looking at the guy, and he's got a black eye, and it's red inside, and he's looking at you like this, and he don't know what hablo is. He don't know when the judge is saying this shit. Yeah. You don't even know what the fuck's going on. But for once, I caught a break. Yeah. You know, and I knew right then and there, I can't even have these thoughts in my mind. Because every time, if somebody would cut me off, I'd want to pull the car around and go stab these people. That was the root of everything that had gone on. And at that time, I had 20 minutes. 22 of it was garbage. Yeah. You know, I was minus 2 points in material, but I had
But you could be on stage. You had to be on stage.
I had nothing. You know, when you have nothing, I was like Richard Gere in Officer and Gentleman. I had nowhere else to go. Yeah. You know, people say to me, oh, you know, you're doing well with the podcast, you know, and it's like Marc Maron, we had nowhere else to go. We came to L.A., we bit into it, and we evolved. And this is what fucking happened, okay? I had nowhere else. Where are you going to go? You went to Israel, you went to New York, you snorted in Boston, you were in Ireland with Dom Herrera. Where the fuck you going to go? You got to settle in somewhere and look at your fucking journey and go, this is it, motherfucker.
That's right.
You know, this isn't happening because we're better than anybody else. This is happening now. I'm 50. I just had a kid. This is happening because I stuck it out. Because 7 years ago, I went to visit a friend that had cancer. In the middle of her tirade about how if she ever made it back to the stage, she was never going to curse because God told her. She stopped and she goes, you got to stop doing blow. And I thought about it, and it was about a cat. My whole cocaine thing is about a cat. I stopped doing blow. People go spend millions. They go to therapy, and they lay there and they get hypnotized. My promise was to a cat. My promise is to a cat that was going to die. You know, I never liked doing coke in my house. And the night I brought the coke upstairs, there was 2 kittens, and there was one that I loved, DJ. I had this cat colony in the back of my building. And, you know, people, these fucking scumbags, I'll take that guy, take that cat, and all of a sudden the cats get big, and they're like, well, we have allergies. You didn't know that when you fucking said that, so now somebody's got to save these fucking cats. So I would try to take them and put signs up and play with these fucking cats. And I've got 9 of them. I got 6 of them from the same Siamese father. That guy's worse than Sean Kemp. You know what I'm saying? That guy don't pay child support. He don't even show up. That guy was a Siamese killer that had big black fucking balls. Siamese, dark, beautiful. His face was hanging. You know, he was a killer. He killed the kittens. He would kill them. If they grew a certain age, he'd kill them. Because they'd go back to not sucking titty and he could fuck the cat again. He had every cat back then. And she was a whore. She was the dirtiest, filthiest whore of all time. She was getting fucked by 2 different cats. The Siamese and the black and white cat. So she was getting litters from every fucking body because they could get 2 litters at once.
I know,
So it was just amazing. And I'm taking these cats in. My wife is fucking saving cats, you know, and we're saving them because they would get anemia. Or some shit outside. And I was all fucked up at this time. By this time, I'm doing heroin the whole summer, and I hadn't done blow the whole summer.
And you think you're doing good.
And I'm like, no, I was ready to call 60 Minutes. Because I was doing a line of heroin every Monday night, and it was stopping me from doing blow. I was on to something. I was on to something, Mark.
I got it. I got
this,
it out.
People. This is it. I just got to get it out there. A little bit of heroin from Newark.
Monday.
Just go to Newark on Monday, get a little bag of heroin, do a half a black, whack off, puke, and you're back like AC/DC in '84. You know what I'm saying? You're back. So this whole event went on, and she had this last batch of little Siameses, 3 Siameses and 1 black and white one. I love the 3 Siameses. But the black and white one I had no use for. Because he'd take the male Siamese and make him climb windows. And I loved DJ. I had Dimmy upstairs. You know, Dimmy, why you do this to me? I had him upstairs. He was a cocksucker. But this guy was just like him. Siamese, you know how they're fucking quirky? He was not really Siamese. They're the white paws with the whole... And he kept taking them up to the roof. And I would call that black and white cat Superbad. And I would say, Superbad, when he's in, I'm going to fucking kill you. And I would catch myself like, one day I'm going to get the gun and shoot this motherfucker. And I go, what's wrong with me? I'm going to shoot a fucking kitten. You know what I'm saying? Because he squeezed the other kitten into the ghetto there. So the 2 girls would stay close. So things happened. The 2 girls started getting sick. And I took DJ up, the Siamese. His leg was swollen. Once their leg starts swelling, it's all over but the shouting. They get this anemia in their blood. And I never had that. And then the other fucking white and black one, the one I hated and was going to kill, he got sick. So on the way home that night, my wife calls me. She goes, both cats are in the bathroom. I go, what cats? And she goes, Superbad, that motherfucker. Let him die. And she goes, DJ, Dimmy Jr. So I come upstairs. I got my little package of coke, which was a rule breaker for me. I like to do it outside. I'd never liked doing the coke inside. This is just my addicted, disgusted mind. And I come upstairs and I do the powder in the bathroom as I'm looking at these 2 fucking cats. One that I love and the other cocksucker I can't stand. And I pet the one that I fucking like, and I'm looking at the other guy going,
you're getting nothing.
And I go out to the kitchen, and jerk off, and I go on Google or whatever fucking mind fuck I had that night. And I go to bed, and 3 hours later, my wife wakes me up. And she didn't know what I was doing. She knew, but she didn't know. She goes, DJ died.
The good cat.
The good cat. And I looked at her and I go, don't even tell me that. Don't even tell me that. And she goes, he died. And I go, you know what? Close the fucking door. Because I knew what killed him. It was that coke I brought upstairs. I never brought it upstairs. It's bad luck. It was such bad luck at my mind, you know. And I got there and I go, this motherfucker should die next. You know, fuck it. Let's just make it complete. And in my mind fucked. Right there, I said, no, he can't die.
The black and white.
The black and white little fucker can't die. And I went in and I knelt and I pet him and I kissed him and I prayed. I go, God, please save this motherfucker. If he lives, I'll never do blow again. In the back of my mind, this promise meant nothing. You know what I'm saying? I was just saying this.
Yeah.
Just saying it from my own cocaine-addicted mind. And I tell you, the next night I couldn't go, Marc Maron. And the night after that I couldn't go. And I kept saying, die. The quicker you die, the quicker you go back. I kept saying it to myself. I wasn't saying this to the cat.
Yeah.
By this point, I'm going, he wouldn't let me touch him outside. By the third day, I would touch him, and he'd purr at me. He was living, bro.
Yeah.
And I started giving him cream pies with the oatmeal cookie, and he started fucking living. And then, like a week later, he came out, and I was done. And every night at 8 o'clock, I would get this anxiety. Like, my spot was at 10:40.
Yeah.
At the store, but I didn't give a fuck. I needed it in my pocket. I didn't want to do it. I needed it in my pocket. And nobody knows the feeling of getting in your car and going to Bank of America, not remembering, blacking out. That's what my addiction was. I was blacking out on the way to Bank. There was no red lights in my life.
Right.
I would get on that Selma.
Yeah. Yeah.
I would cut motherfuckers off on Highland.
Yeah.
I didn't give a fuck where they were going. And I ended up, going to that Bank of America there, and I would just black out. And all of a sudden, here I am a week without that anxiety feeling no more. I would leave the coke in the car and go do my spot. And as soon as I walk off in those days, I'd just go in the car. I didn't give a fuck what Marc Maron had to say.
Yeah, sure.
What tag Danny Boy had. Everybody's always got a tag or an idea for a show.
Sure.
I got to go.
Yeah.
And I would get on that street, go down to Fountain, and when I made that left, I would be cracking the rock in my hand, driving, steering it with my knee and shit. Yeah. And I'd be rolling the dollar bill, and at each light, I'd blast off, you know. And it was a week, and I didn't do it. And by that point, I'm like, this motherfucker's got to die. This guy, I'm going to have to kill him.
Because you want to blow.
Yeah, at that point, it was weird. It was weird.
Well, I don't think people really understand that when you have your blow and you love blow, you feel whole.
Oh,
just to know that package in your pocket, you're like,
yeah. Just as long as the package is in there, I'm going to be, I'm okay. You know, and at that time, I had 3 different dealers. I had an Armenian, I had a Mexican at El Compadre, and I had this fucking Mexican dude that lives on Sunset and Western by that Burger King and those bushes. Like, you didn't even have to call him. He just drove around Western and Sunset, and he'd come running behind you. It was classic. And you just put your hand out. He put a Coke rock in your nose to make sure you weren't a cop. That was his, how some people are like, well, I got to ask you this by law. Are you DEA? Fuck you, stupid. This guy didn't even play that shit. He just put the Coke rock in your nose. And you go, okay, get it. And you tell him $40, and he give you a rock, and you drove home. No baggie, no bindle, no aluminum foil, no nothing. You had to drive home in La Mano on Sunset like a pizza delivery boy.
Sorry, so you go.
Never did blow again. I got the movie offer for 18 days, and the people knew I was a coke fiend.
The Taxi movie?
This was a movie called Boilermaker about an AA that got robbed in the early 80s. It didn't get robbed. They did a bank robbery, and they went into a AA, which will leave anonymous, and hid out with the people. Yeah. And they got shot or something. This was like some similar story to it. And the people knew I was a fiend, and they called me like men. They go, we know you're a coke fiend, but we're giving you the first shot. It's 100 a day, but you got to work 18 days straight. So in my 7th day, I go, this is perfect. If I can make that and this.
What are you doing on the set?
I was, I was in acting.
Oh, for 100 a day? That's what
that was a low budget.
Okay, guys.
It was a low budget movie.
Right.
So it was, I did that, and by the time I finished, I was clean 30 days. And I was like, this is the first time since 19...
Totally clean? You smoking a weed or what?
Now I smoke weed. Sure. But at that time, I was still doing weed. No more pills. You go down to these doctors, and I didn't know what I was suffering from. At that time, I had such an anxiety, like my mind. At that time, I was doing the blow, and I was getting sharks in my spine. At the end of the night, I knew it was time. I knew something was going to go down. I was 400 fucking pounds, Mark. I was smoking 3 packs of cigarettes before the blow. On the way home, I'd stop and get a 2-pack of Camel Lights and water. Like, so you were dying.
You were dying.
Yeah, like Mark, you know what? Fuck you. I'm doing an 8-ball, but I'm drinking water. Okay, what are you doing for your health? If I ate sushi the next day, I was Johnny Atlas.
Have some soup if you felt a little under the weather.
Miso soup and water. I'm not an addict, all right? It's amazing.
It's amazing what you think miso soup can do when you're that fucked up.
Oh, my God. Yeah, miso soup.
You got a system. I'd have the Thai hot spicy soup the day after. It cleans it out.
Amazing. I used to hot and sour because it's got vinegar.
Yeah.
And it cleans out the system, so the cocaine is
all
gone.
All good.
2 days, and I go back to it. I would stay clean for maybe 72 hours, and I'd lose my mind. But the road was like you, to get your shit off. The road meant, and you'd only go to places.
It's not real.
You didn't even call the guy, like Monday. Hey, Flacco, how you doing? Yeah, I'm coming in Friday, but have it ready Thursday, just in case I fly in early Thursday. Yeah, you're like lumber.
Yeah, you got that's your plan.
And it's just, and now it's, I got off I remember I had these anxiety pills they gave me. Said, Mark, I would do the anxiety and the depression pills, and I would snort with them and then say they wouldn't work. They ain't working. What the fuck is wrong with these people? So I had this black friend I used to get coke from, the worst coke in the world. But he fronted to me. So in the mornings I go, dog, how much protein powder you put in this fucking coke? And every night it was in a motorcycle, so I'd have to go in his backyard and take it from the motorcycle, and he'd go, did you leave the money? I would never leave the money. And he'd go, where's the money? I left it there. What are you talking about? It's there. I left you that one and the one from before. So much fun, the world of blow. But he used to eat 100 Valiums in a night. So one night I called him, and I said, hey, man, do me a favor. Come by. I got these pills. This is the future. And they were antidepressants that I had gotten from the doctor and an anxiety pill. And I gave him both. This is a guy that was eating, 15 Percodans. I'm exaggerating. He was probably eating 10 V's a night. He was probably doing a gram or two a night. He was probably eating those things that were hot in those days, Oxycontins. I remember him mentioning. I remember 3 days later, he called me. He goes, hey, man, whatever the fuck you gave me, that shit is wrong, brother. And I was like, I was right. So I went to acupuncture for my anxiety. And that was 7 fucking years ago. I don't have anxiety no more.
Really?
I don't do powder no more.
And you feeling better?
Yeah. I go to acupuncture every Tuesday. I get cupped, a couple needles in my neck. A couple needles everywhere else, in my knee if I'm having problems. I try to go to the
No meds?
No meds? Nothing. Just marijuana.
So now look at you, man. You're doing good. You go out on the road a lot by yourself. You go out with Joe sometimes.
We all go
you're
out
at the store. You got friends. You're feeling healthy. And you got a baby?
50. Listen, I was going to tell you the recipe. But don't tell nobody.
How to have a baby?
Yeah. You ready? I had knee surgery. So the doctor asked me if I wanted Anavar to do this, the recovery, which is like a mild steroid to make your muscles strong. And I didn't want the Anavar. A friend of mine just said, just get some protein powder and do some lifting on your own and go to physical therapy. So I went to GNC and I bought the $80 protein. That shit made me fucking horny as fuck. It's like putting a Coke rock in your asshole. I went nuts. I gave Mom a stabbing. She's 43. I've been with my wife for 10 years, 12 years. Nothing ever happened. That's why we got the cats. Because after like 6 years, I thought I was damaged goods, my past, whatever. But she's a beautiful little baby girl. She's healthy. She's 4 months old. And I feel good, Mark, because finally I made somebody happy. She's in another fucking planet, my wife. And there's nothing like living like I fucked up when I was first married. When I got out of prison,
What happened to that daughter?
That daughter and me stopped talking about 10 years ago. And it was basically the mother wanted to change her name and my ego and this and that and child support. And it went back and forth. Today everything's done. There's no drama. I just decided not to talk to them. Just years ago, what I do for a living, especially 10 years ago when I lived in a car, was tough, Mark. And I would send child support and call and not even a fucking Father's Day card. Not I remember I got a commercial for Taco Bell. And I would, go back to Boulder, which is expensive in those days. And, we were making $15 at the fucking store, guy. It's $300 plus $200 a night to stay at the broker, plus I got to rent a car. And I get there, and she's too busy this week. What can a 10-year-old be doing? I didn't have money to go back to an attorney. I was sick and tired of going to court over this. Sick and tired. And one day I decided, you just put a dream out there and say, you know what? Someday we're going to talk. A couple years ago, I contacted her on Facebook. I sent Christmas cards. I hear nothing. Do I want to talk to the mother? Mark, there's just something about this. She tried to cut my legs off that I can't come to grips with it today. And I think in time I will, But loving this baby makes me realize that how bad the addiction was when I first had the first kid. You can't really do anything when you're addicted.
No, you're tied up in it.
You really can't do dick, whether it's comedy, whether it's fucking being a plumber, whether it's being a father, and you didn't realize till 50. Now I'm just, listen, every man, the average age is 74. I smoked some cigarettes. I ate some badass in Cleveland. Shit happened. That's about 68. That means my daughter will be 18. All you do is be the best father I can, at this point.
Well, that's it, brother. Beautiful story, dude.
That's it. That's
Congratulations.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, it's good to see you.
Good to see you, and I'm happy you got me on, man.
Yeah, thanks for talking.
Thank you for having me.
Wow, how's that for a story, huh? You got any good stories? I don't think so. I love Joey Diaz. I really appreciate him coming down, and it was great to spend some time with him. I hope you enjoyed that. Thank you for listening to my show. Go to WTFpod.com for all your WTF pod needs. Get on the mailing list, kick in a few shekels, leave a few comments. Don't be a dick. Get the app. Do yourself a favor. I know I got a lot of newbies